Welcome to 5 Things Friday APAC Edition. I am Ryf Quail, Managing Director of NRF Retail's Big Show Asia Pacific, and I am joined by, of course, the wonderful Alex.
The beautiful Alex from the Retail Podcast.
You can see he's been spending a bit of time in England. He's got a suntan.
Good old Blighty. It's been fantastic. I've had a ball. We saw Coldplay. We've seen petting zoo, ice skating. It's the full works. Today's Legoland, and I'm sitting out. I've said, you guys go to Lego.
My son loves Lego. I think Legoland, I need to do that. That would be something I need to do. Legoland is a highlight.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. They've been like, my oldest has been so many times, but he still goes because he's like, can I buy some Lego if I go? And I went, yeah, all right, go on. They're just
my son is all the same. He's the same. He goes, he's turning 11 on next Wednesday.
Nice.
And he turns up dutifully with a list of going, this is what I want, Dad. And of course, he goes, you make sure that someone gets me some Lego. It's a good gift for one of the family members. Not too big, So Lego is actually front and center.
It's so funny that you mention Lego because that's, well, I don't know actually if it does lend itself to our first article. How about you kick us off?
All right. So it sort of does. It's all about the kids today. The first thing I want to talk about is this craze that was born out of Hong Kong called Labubu.
Yeah.
And this was created by Hong Kong-born artist Kai Sing Lung in 2015 as part of the Monsters series.
Yeah.
And it was around, but it wasn't till Pop Mart took it on that it really exploded. So Pop Mart, are a Beijing-based, founded guy by the name of Ning Wang. Like, it was basically collectibles, cool urban stuff, youth-orientated. And they stumbled across this thing called the blind box. And it was happening in Tokyo, of all places. Basically, what these blind boxes are a real, if you want to call it, a dopamine fix for the kids, okay? And they basically, what they did was Pop Mart took the Labubu concept and partnered with them and then put them in these blind boxes. So people started collecting them. But then Pop Mart basically pulled every trick in the book with obviously the dopamine fix of the blind box. They partner with celebrities. Like recently, Madonna even threw a Labubu themed party, Naomi Osaka paraded around the US Open in a crystal encrusted Labubu charm called Billie Jean Bling.
Man.
A K-pop sensation, Blackpink's Lisa. They've all had dolls made these little dolls made in their likeness with like aspirationals like street fashion. So it's pretty cool. And so all of a sudden, this thing went bonkers. And so Pop Mart, this phenomenon, saw Wang Ning's worth, the CEO of Pop Mart, grow from 1.8 billion to 21 billion.
Not bad.
In a year or so. So Pop Mart grew. So they surged to, their profits surged 204% from the first half to the second half of 2025. So it went absolutely bonkers. And it's just been a phenomenon. So as I said before, I'm actually really keen to find someone from Labubu to speak at NRF APAC because I think that it isn't just a plush collector's toy. It's a case study. This is a case study in modern day hype. There's clever design, there's scarcity, there's a collection element, there's pop cultural icons, it's tactile, it's got social media currency, like it's gone bonkers in social media, as you can imagine. And there is a whole grey market that copies them called, it's insane. So Pop Mart have just created a phenomenon, and Pop Mart were doing this already. They'd actually partnered with other artists to create. Their first launch was in 2016 with Molly Zodiac. But when they did it with Labubu, the whole Pop Mart thing went absolutely bonkers. So this is the whole coming of age. It was incredible. They've got the 4 key IPs they've got now since is Molly, Daimu, Skull Panda, and Labubu. So Labubu was the thing.
All right, so 4 anchor tenants.
Yeah, the 4 key IP dolls, right? So Labubu is the one that's the killer. Yeah. But Molly was the first one. It was done through a partnership with a Hong Kong artist. So, and they were around, they were founded in 2010 in Beijing, but it wasn't 2016 they did these blind boxes.
Yeah.
And they went from just selling bits and pieces to actually having their own IP. And these four anchor tenants, as you say, Molly, Daimu, Skull Panda, and now Labubu are their IP that they're just taking the world by storm. It's insane.
Sure. It sort of lends itself to what I wanted to talk about, because obviously Pop Mart appear in this article. And interestingly enough, McKinsey did a report earlier this year in May that, and it's interesting, when I was in Shanghai last year, I could feel and sense how wellness as a sector is so big in terms of the amount of retailers and retail space that's dedicated to well-being, getting out into the outdoors and doing yoga. Or so there's this sort of blend, all of these outdoor activities. But now China's wellness sort of wave, which was really noticeable, is sort of shifting to target Gen Z, who ultimately health obsessed. And I think that's why we've in the West, that sort of translated to the rise of beauty. And so what we're seeing is China's Gen Z consumers redefining their retail priorities. And it is all about wellness in its sort of holistic terms. It's actually, there was a report that I read, and I don't know if I've got it here, in Retail Asia, which sort of took the report and talks about how brands are fusing health and beauty. For example, taking a skincare supplement or a fitness integrated cosmetics, are seeing sharp upticks in engagement, with nearly 70% of young Chinese shoppers prioritizing feeling good over simply looking good. And I love that, because I think that is a generational shift.
Yeah, and I don't think that's limited to, Asian cultures too. I mean, you only have to look at, the way that gatherings and social gatherings are forming around workplaces now.
Yeah.
And I work in events, as you know, and so I amass together a lot of people in their 20s.
Just a small event, mate.
Just a small, but it's okay, But the point is that I amass a lot of, we have 400 staff by show, right? And a lot of them are 20 to 30-year-olds.
Yeah.
And it's not about alcohol and all those elements anymore. It's about feeling good. And so it's good food. It's things like, the gifts you give, everything has changed. It's no longer us Gen Xers who are, going, as soon as we finish, we're going to the pub.
Yeah.
It's not that at all anymore. And that's just mind blowing. Yeah. And I had a team in my team. I had obviously Singaporeans, but Australians to Europeans to people from all over the world working in my team. And that's common values. This wellness piece is universally a common value.
Yeah, 100%. And I think what's happened is, and the bit sort of that links to Pop Mart, is that retailers like Pop Mart and Lululemon are having to pivot really fast. And so what retailers should really be thinking about is, and I think we're going to see as consumers within the region are going to see more in-store wellness zones, AI-powered health diagnostics, biohacking brands entering the market. So the biggest shift in my mind is that this isn't just for shelf space, right, and sort of allocating these health SKUs, but it's more about mind space and how that the wellness and how you tap in to the wellness economy. So
yeah, and I think that obviously people like Pop Mart have this huge social currency right now, which is attracting an audience, which allows them to diversify. But if I look at someone like a Chemist Warehouse in Australia, who are a pretty they're a big box retailer in terms of warehouse, and then they're creating wellness zones and allowing people to use tools to find wellness pieces in their store as well. So you're thinking about Chemist Warehouse and Pop Mart. They're at opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of the way they turn up, right?
Yeah.
But they're still chasing common zones and thinkings and lines of thinking, So there's real commonality through those diverse different retailers.
Yeah, absolutely. So moving on to the
Australia Post announces that it's no longer shipping packages to the US at a value of more than $100 US. Now so this is really crazy. Now so think about this as a moment, right? If you're an Australian retailer and there's lots of them who have big customer bases in the US.
Yeah.
And so the one one of my favorite retailers, no, I'm only joking, Lash Therapy Australia.
You can't have favorite retailers, mate.
Oh, I know. I look at my lashes. It's beautiful. Anyway,
beautiful.
But Lash Therapy Australia, they're a really successful, mascara, lash serum type outfit in Australia. They're number one, and they're really good. But 40% of their parcels go to US customers.
Yeah. Wow.
Now, Australia Post has just turned that off. And the reason that they have turned that off is because we're having a situation where the US has basically eliminated what they call the de minimis exemption. So even low-value goods, previously under $800 US, are now subject to import duties. And these tariffs must be prepaid before the parcel arrives in the US. The problem Australia Post has is that they have no infrastructure in place to be able to manage this.
Yeah, they're not on Shopify.
Correct. Whatever. We won't talk about platforms. So that means you can send a letter to the States.
Yeah.
You can send some documents to the States. You can send a gift to the States under $100 US value.
Yeah.
But anything over that, Australia Post aren't shipping anymore. And they're not unique. So this postal services in the EU, in UK, India, Japan, and New Zealand are also suspending or modifying shipments to the US because they don't know what to do about these paying tariffs before the product arrives in the country.
That's incredible. That is crazy.
So you think about it. So I just talked about Lash Therapy Australia. There's hundreds of these little, retailers,
or medium size,
and who've made great market in the US, who probably one of Australia's closest allies, who now can't do business in the US.
Yeah.
It's and you go, well, why don't they ship it with DHL or FedEx or whatever? Those guys are so expensive. Like Australia Post was the only alternative. These poor folks with these businesses, these retail businesses, who have made themselves patting themselves on the back for being global, thinking that Australia Post would always be there for them.
Yeah.
With the change in the geopolitical situation again and again and again, we're seeing stable businesses like Australia Post and other postal services around the world being completely caught on the hop and disrupted by the change, the moving the goalposts in the US.
Got you.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah, sign of our times. Another sort of sign of our times is what's happening in the Philippines. Philippines-based investment house, SM Investments, is reshaping its mall strategy, something that I've spoken about for a long time, since last year going to actually another conference called MAPIC in Cannes, which is very beautiful. But these dopamine villages that need to be created to win over Gen Z and millennial shoppers, rather than just being shopping centers. And so their latest developments doubles down on this entertainment complex sort of idea with K-pop concerts, immersive art exhibitions, gamified food courts, is a direct response to these changing consumer behaviors as the generations keep shifting. As the Gen Xers and Boomers shop less in shopping centers, their Gen Zs and millennials will continue to replace that spend. It's basically post-pandemic behavior. It's foot traffic alone isn't enough. So you can't just rely on having anchor tenants anymore, but it needs to be, and that's the whole thing that I've coined in terms of dopamine villages. It's experience-driven spend. And SM is betting big on this retail, and they call it retail unmet. I can't even say that. But anyway, blurring the lines between commerce and culture. I saw beautiful examples of this across Asia last year. And as e-commerce continues to grow, physical stores have to earn their place. In certain regions, we can see different maturity levels within various countries, and its investments within its shopping centers is doing that by becoming that weekend destination. And a great classic example of this, for example, is electric go-karting, where there's like 2-floor go-karting spaces. Go into your own real-world Mario Kart land.
And I would say to you, this is going to happen really quickly in places like the Philippines, in Vietnam, Indonesia, where these populations are young, right? So this is, we've talked a little bit about Gen Z in previous weeks.
Yeah.
So this dopamine villages you talk about, right? Now, whether that's the retailer themselves providing this really sticky brand experience when people go to store. Flagship retail is alive and kicking and well, right? And these malls are just the wrapping around this massive flagship retail experience. I mean, look at what Mecca is in Melbourne at the moment. Mecca in terms of the beauty experience, the biggest beauty experience in the world. But we're seeing these dopamine villages popping up in markets in Asia because they are young markets. It's not happening. They're still happening around the world. But, you know, the opportunity upside in these young markets is like places like the Philippines, Vietnam, Indonesia, because their populations are skewing younger. You know, we're not talking about North Asia, Korea and Japan and China. We're talking about younger markets. Now, so if you're a brand, you're not presenting information what the agentic AI can, or the shopping agents can get the information and help make rational decisions.
Yeah.
Then the only way you're going to have a deep, rich brand experience now is in a store or at a destination retail. Yeah. And so SM's it's a savvy investment, you know. It reflects the movement within the generation. And they, as I said, within the next 5 years, Gen Zs will be the dominant generation in retail.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
so you're putting your bets on. You put your bets on now. Absolutely.
Yeah. So in closing, another interesting sort of strategic maneuver from someone or a company that you know very well is JD.com. So JD.com, one of China's biggest e-commerce organizations, companies, players, has officially launched a warehouse in Dubai, making a strategic leap in cross-border logistics. So I think this is a leaf out of, you know, what Amazon has been doing across the globe quietly over the last 10 years. Now JD is doing with this opening of this warehouse there. And what this does is it enables JD to sort of slash delivery times to the Middle East and African markets, while also supporting their third-party markets and sellers from Asia Pacific, aiming for that sort of global reach. And what we'll see, this isn't sort of necessarily JD doing this in a vacuum. What they're also doing is plugging into Dubai's AI-driven inventory and custom clearance system, which sounds phenomenal. And for the APAC retail sector, it signals a future where made in Asia meets delivered global, faster, cheaper, with fewer logistical bottlenecks. So, you know, taking your story about Australia Post, I think, you know, we can see that the world is reorganizing itself until there is more of a stable base to do business in.
And JD have got, I think it's Vietnam and Malaysia. They've got sort of similar distribution setups in Southeast Asia as well. They've been quite Chinese domestic, like most Chinese retailers and Indian retailers for that matter. Their countries are so massive. When they step out big. Yeah. So it's pretty fascinating. But I want to share something about JD, because I had a bit of a woohoo moment, a bit of a fanboy moment last year. So one of my advisory board members, who is the president of Walmart in China, said, "You need to meet my friend Sandy." I went, "I'd love to. I'm going to Beijing." And so Sandy, who's in the center of that picture there, is the CEO of JD.com.
Yeah,
and I'm
really
like,
happy there.
Pretty happy. Believe me, I could believe this. This is incredible. So I'm in Beijing. I go to the Jingdao campus, the JD campus. Yeah. I go to the top floor of the number one building on the campus. It's massive. It's bigger than Google's campus, right? It's huge. And it's incredible. And then you go in and it's all white tiles. You feel like you're in some sort of, you know, Stanley Kubrick film with white tiles. It's crazy. And we go there and I meet her and we sat down for an hour and we talked retail and Chinese retail.
That is, and I'm like, I do envy that. That's cool.
But I'm having a pinch me moment. Yeah. And she was amazing. She was generous with her time. She spoke and shared. She talked about their journeys into different parts of the world and what worked and what hadn't. And so, you know, massive fans of these guys, because this, you know, I think I'm trying to think is it $270 billion turnover USD?
Okay. Anyway, it is. Yeah, so that was because the average sort of, you know, turnover here for a retailer is about 5-6 billion, right? Yeah. So but marketplace, it's just
that's like GDP of Australia. It's like, wow, Wow. So anyway, so I had a massive fanboy moment. She was lovely. I've made some really good friends in China along the way, but just mind-blowing moment. And the gentleman on the left is Kevin Yang, who's head of commercial for our comic exposure business in China. And he's sort of saying to me, how did you get this meeting? He's like, how did you do this?
This old chap. Okay, all right.
Yeah. So this is in Beijing, and it was just amazing. I was
phenomenal.
So I'm like, it's one of the the pinch me moments. The real.
If you need anyone to carry your bag next time, just gonna.
It was incredible. Yeah.
Well, listen, on that bombshell, thank you, Ryf, for being with us this week. Until next week, my friend.
Absolutely. There's lots more going on in this. I want to talk about, maybe we should talk a little bit about K-pop Demon Hunters next week, I reckon, because I think that
100%. Maybe we could do it.
We've talked a little bit about Korea already, but it just keeps coming out of Korea. So
they're just going from strength to strength.
What a country that leads the world culturally. What an amazing, wow. So we might talk about, and we can talk about how many times our kids have watched it and sing it. And maybe
you can only judge that by how well you know the lyrics.
Or maybe I could sing a little rendition of Soda Pop. But anyway,
on that bombshell, second bombshell, you doing Soda Pop. All right, mate. Take care.
Thanks, mate.
See you later.